Dylan and Ronan say Woody was abusive. Sunyi and Moses say
Mia was
Mia
abusive.
was abusive. So what you've got
Mm-hmm.
is it's a wash. We talked about this after we read the Apropos of Nothing. I became even surer that Woody was innocent, but nobody can be 100% sure
Sure, because we weren't there.
because we weren't there. But I mean, for every one person who has evidence or they witnessed something, you have another person who says that didn't happen, or no, it was Mia who was the one who was terrorizing the kids.
Yeah.
So you and I have looked into this as much as any person can that isn't involved. And when you're outside of things and you're interested in them and you want to know the truth, you can only get to a certain point. You can only go so far with it. And then you have to make up your mind on what you believe. And you and I have done that. Most people don't. Most people just go, "Oh, he married his daughter. He's a child molester." And they couldn't name a Woody Allen movie. They don't even know anything about him. They just go, "Oh, he's that creepy little guy in the glasses, right? Oh yeah, he probably did it."
So all the stuff I know that other people have said is not in this documentary. All the
Mm-hmm.
stuff again, because it's almost equal parts. Everything Mia would say about Woody, her other children said about Mia.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's frustrating about this documentary. It's not fair. It's just kind of propaganda-ish. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, except for Dylan, which again I'll get to in a moment. So Mia basically begs Woody to adopt Dylan, Moses, and Satchel, aka Ronan. And as soon as he does that, soon after he has the affair with Sunyin, and then everything changes. After that, two criminal investigations are made on Woody Allen, one in New York, one in Connecticut, because Woody lives in New York and Mia lives in Connecticut. So there's two investigations. They both can't bring they can't find enough evidence against Woody Allen. And this documentary goes into reasons why those investigations are flawed. So
Mm-hmm.
that's mostly what this document is, breaking down how the investigations made by the New Haven, I can't remember what they're called, the New Haven Institute, why they were flawed. And why now the paperwork is not even there. But at the time, when the whole world was paying attention and everyone was tearing it apart, they couldn't find anything. But again, the narrative of this docu series is that everyone's lying. The media loves Woody. Mia is innocent. Mia is a philanthropist. Mia loves children. Mia has done nothing wrong, and it's just black. It's just black and white
Mm-hmm.
for every single episode. When it comes to Dylan, I believe that she's a pawn in the feud between her parents. Now, Dylan addresses this in the later episodes, saying that you can't tell me my truth. But it's not me per se that's doing that. It's the investigators at the time who deemed that she isn't seeing, reality properly, that she's being caught, stuff like that. So in my mind, she's not a credible witness. Even though because she was 7, her mother was furious with Woody. But up until that point, he never did anything to any of the other kids, except for marrying her other kid, which again doesn't paint Woody in a good picture. So this whole thing to me is such a mixed bag of shit between their dysfunctional relationship that I'm just like, how can anyone just come to any conclusion watching this? And as for the directors, like I said, I've watched one or two of their previous documentaries where their means are good. Like they want to do something good for Survivor and stuff like that. And they believe, obviously, Dylan has been abused and Woody's gotten away with it. But they just don't seem to care about the other evidence. They just see Woody as another one that got away, another powerful white man in Hollywood or entertainer that got away. And it's a shame. I'm disappointed in them because I've liked their previous documentary against Russell Simmons, but I can see why they can be blinded by the celebrity and by the power of another, powerful figure, which is Woody Allen. It's really disappointing to me. I'm gonna Let me play the trailer of them talking about making this documentary, and then we'll talk some more about it.
I would want everyone to know that we came to this with no agenda, completely open mind, no bias. I only knew what the public knew.
And I was at first reluctant to actually look into it because I had assumed, because of all this media coverage, that most of the story had been covered.
We interviewed Dylan. Initially, it was actually for a different project. And then in the course of our interview, we thought, oh my God, there's so much more here. How did I not know this? And we started diving in.
As we got into it and, working with one of our producers, an incredible investigative producer, Amy Hurdy, it was a 3-year investigation. And over those 3 years, she got this incredible amount of information. We had tens of thousands of pages of documents. We felt a great responsibility to get the story right. And so we were very careful on our fact checking. We continue to be. I mean, we have a very rigorous process. It goes through multiple fact checkers, actually, before we even give it to our attorney, and then goes to HBO attorney. So this has been vetted very, very rigorously.
Okay, they say the information has been vetted, but 95% of the information isn't new. So to my mind, there was nothing to vet because everything they brought up was already in the cases anyway. The only thing they are doing is disputing the claims for one reason or another, which is more or less hearsay. He said, she said. There's a journalist called Kathy Young. She made a write-up about this, which is called Allen V Farrow, Intellectually Dishonest Propaganda Meets Emotional Blackmail, which I think is a good side piece breaking down how the inconsistencies and bias to this is so blatantly obvious. But you have to want to know the other side. You have to want to hear it. You don't have to like Woody Allen. This is the thing I keep telling people. I'm not in love with Woody Allen. I like his movies. I think him as a person is pretty shady, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't think he's a paedophile. I think he's innocent of this crime, and I think if you look at the evidence, and you look bit by bit, and you believe these thorough cases that were done, when they say that the media loved him, what's the media got to do with the court? What's the media got to do with the investigation? They have nothing to do with it, So, and I don't. And there's a lot of hearsay about irrelevant stuff about Woody Allen as a filmmaker. That's younger women. That's got nothing to do with the case.
Well, like I said, that accusation goes out the window when you just look at every other celebrity who has hooked up with younger women and some women who've hooked up with younger men. It happens when you're rich and powerful and you can do that. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You have to judge that as a whole and not just judge it on the actions of one person.
I think we've said multiple times, Rick Morley on YouTube, Rick Morley did a documentary series of his own that was 2 hours called Woody Allen is Innocent. And I just say to people, listen, if you want to watch this documentary, Allen V Farrow, that's fine. If you just want to if you want to see one side of the story, fine. But just listen to the other side. That's why I watched this 4-part documentary. Even though I believe Woody Allen's innocent, I want to hear what they have to say. But they didn't have any new evidence. What they had that was new was they had this tape that hasn't been made public of Mia Farrow recorded the tape of Dylan Farrow explaining how Woody Allen molested her. Apparently molested her. But then, Mia Farrow could have edited that tape. Why? Obviously, it just seems a bit. I mean, it's not evidence. It's just a tape of her recording her daughter say something that was the basis of this whole the whole 2 cases. Why is this new evidence?
You can completely counter that with, I think it was Moses who said that he witnessed that, and that Mia had to just keep doing multiple takes because Dylan wasn't getting it right. Where did Daddy touch you? Oh, he touched me on my shoulder. Oh, no, honey. Remember what you have to say. You have to say he touched you down there. That's.
Can I ask you a question? One of the things they keep saying is that the people that interviewed Dylan about the case, who was trying to, see if she was coerced or not, said they interviewed Dylan 9 times, was it 9 or 12 times when she was a kid? And everyone in this documentary is way too much. It just shell shocked her. But I'm like, hold on, let's flip the argument. If they only interviewed her once or twice, is that really enough? Like, why is so much time just to accurately get the story right too much? But then if she only said it 3 times, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their defense, or it's really frustrating that they don't really have real evidence, but they're just using emotion and the emotion of Dylan. When you sit here and watch Dylan go over the abuse and how it's affected her, it sounds horrible. By the way, do you know who believes Dylan as well? Woody Allen. Woody Allen believes Dylan. Let me play a clip about that.
The smear has remained, and they still prefer to cling to, if not the notion that I molested Dylan, the possibility that I molested her. Nothing that I ever did with Dylan in my life could be misconstrued as that.
As a 30-something woman now, it's devastating to watch her recount what she says happened.
Yeah, and I believe she thinks it. She was a good kid, and I believe she thinks it. I do not believe that she's making it up. I don't believe she's lying.
Woody Allen himself doesn't believe she's lying. She comes across as genuine. This is my, not defensive of Dylan, but I can see that pain in her, and it bothers me a lot because when you go back to 92 and watch interviews and hear the things about Mia and the stuff they don't put in this documentary, like, for example, the picture that Mia sent Woody of the knives in all the children and Woody's head, the voicemail she sent. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention another piece of new evidence they bring in this documentary series are phone calls that both Woody Allen and Mia Farrow recorded of each other. And most of it has got to do with Soon Ying. Soon Ying, how could you sleep with her? And Woody Allen sounds like a scumbag. He's like, I don't know why I did that, and maybe we should try again. He sounds like a fucking asshole. But what's that got to do with Dylan Farrow? And then when he does say, you touched my daughter, why'd you do that? The way they edit it just makes it sound like he's guilty without even saying anything. And it's just like, this is really manipulative, and it's not evidence. Either way, it's just emotional. It's just emotional.
And that's, I raised 3 girls. And when I always knew when they were telling me the truth, especially the younger that they were, because when a kid tells you the truth, you get a story from A to B. This is what happened. When they're lying, they say, okay, see, what happened was this happened. And then, oh, wait, I forgot this part. And then, and it just rambles and goes back and forth and everything. And so and again, I'm not saying Dylan lied. I'm saying Dylan was told what to say, that it was drilled into her head. But the reason she had to keep going back and telling the story over and over and over again was probably because the story kept changing. I know that's because it says in the documents that the story kept changing, that it was never consistent, it was never the same. Woody was never arrested because the story wasn't believable. There was no evidence, and Dylan wasn't able to be consistent with the fiction.